You're gonna save. Do I even want to try the investigation part? Let's at least get it started. I normally don't do this. I'd want the whole section in. But let's start. Mr. Wright, so what's going on with the case anyway? I'm a little confused. Well, let's see, what is going on? The victim, Detective Bruce Goodman, was stabbed to death after 5 p.m. on the 21st. He died in the prosecutor's parking lot and the police department's evidence room. What's this? What's this? And the evidence room part? The prosecutor's office and the police department are 30 minutes apart by car. Well, that's what we're going to find out, or at least try. Alright, let's do it. Glad she's in good spirits, but I'm not sure she's going to be much help with this. Don't be so sure, Mr. Wright. Huh? Look, we're in this together, right? I'll prove with my thick-rimmed glasses of mine aren't just for show. Let's go. Science awaits us. February 23rd, prosecutor's office, underground parking lot. You know, I really don't think we should worry about the police department murder. There wasn't even a body found there. Who cares? Yeah, it was only our victim who was killed in the evidence room, no biggie. Besides, my sister would never do such a thing. I know it. That oil drum was it empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief of police was brimming with water. My sister, erasing evidence at the crime scene, never. Even though she says they don't get along, Emma really likes her sister. That's not it at all. It's just, we're both professionals at what we do, and I trust her. Big words for a high school student. Well, whether there was blood on the floor or not, the water in that oil drum washed it all away. Ignore the strength of my science at your own peril, Mr. Wright. What's that grin for? This situation calls for one thing, and that is luminol testing fluid. Luminol? Blood is sticky stuff, you know. You can't just wash it away with a little water. Even if you can't see it, it's still there. But wouldn't the police have already done those tests? Never trust anyone's eyes but your own, Mr. Wright. Just give it a try. Me? Why do I have to do it? I'm a minor. I can't even drink yet. We're testing bloodstains with this stuff, not drinking it. Here, look. I'll lend you these glasses. You had an extra pair of those? To test for a blood reaction, just spray the luminol on it. Like this, see? Press the A button to spray it on. Okay, let's find some blood stains. So if the ground is wet, we'd want to spray here. I can see her eyes shining behind those glasses. So, is this a blood stain? It's so... Emma, you're shaking. It's just, this is my first time seeing real blood. Scientific investigation in action. Okay, well, we definitely know this is a blood stain. But doesn't something strike you as odd? Scientifically speaking, of course. What's odd about this, scientifically? The location? Why, the bloodstain's location, of course. It's elementary. Huh? Why is that elementary? I mean, I wouldn't think that... I would think that if there were a fight, you'd suspect some bloodstains here. I suppose you might think that. Come on, Mr. Wright. We're all counting on you. Maybe it's the amount of blood that's odd? I definitely think so. I mean, look at all the blood on the sole of the victim's shoe. It is pretty strange. If they fought here, there'd have to have been more blood than this. Hey, Mr. Wright. I'm gonna mark the floor plans when we find the bloodstains, okay? So there's more? See, I'm pretty handy to have around, right? Yeah, this stuff's pretty handy too. I saved up my allowance to buy that. We can't be sure that the police will reveal all their evidence in court. Sometimes they fail to mention evidence that doesn't fit with their view of the case. Then let's drag that hidden evidence out into the light of day. Yeah! It feels like we're really investigating a crime now, doesn't it? Guess I should give this a spray on anything suspicious. Ha! I wonder how that fluid of yours would react to a nice deli box. Miss Starr. You only trust your own eyes, Not bad, you two. This day-old deli box is on the house. Sorry, it's just that kind of lead doesn't really get my mouth watering. The door. Hey, Morgs. Oh. What does the L button say? Slide. Okay. There we go. This blood must be from when Lana... No, my sister isn't the murderer. But she did call you, yes? At the time of the crime? And her right hand is bandaged. Just whose side are you on? This has nothing to do with taking sides. So this means that Lana's hand had blood on it. This just keeps getting worse. I'm trying to find more blood. Up, down? Bottom mash, bottom mash. I'm happy to have an infinite supply of this spray. The game never expected you to do this. Spray everything down. Everything. Everything. Okay. Talk. Today's trial. You certainly put me in a tight spot today. My apologies, Miss Starr, but... No, it's okay. It was my fault. Oh, we know. I witnessed everything from that security room right there. But I was afraid that I wouldn't sound convincing enough, you see. I was wrong to think that. I'm sorry. Sorry? You lied on the witness stand. That's unforgivable. Little girl, don't forget what's important here. Even if the place I witnessed the events from was different, I still saw what I saw. I saw Chief Prosecutor Sky stab a man in cold blood, and that testimony still stands. I swear on my honor as a detective, she stabbed Goodman. I know this photograph has something important to tell, but what? So you were a detective, weren't you, Miss Starr? Yes. It was a long time ago. Well, 2 years. No matter how hardened the criminal, when they faced me, they coughed it up. Coughed it up? They confessed. They blabbed like babies. You know, I may seem like a demon sometimes, but I can be an angel too. I wouldn't doubt it. Every day I dragged the dirt out of the mouths of suspect after suspect. And before long, they called me the cough-up queen. Oh, and here I thought someone had gotten food poisoning from your lunches. And you were let go? Fired? I felt I found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if these prim and proper prosecutors hadn't let me go, I'd still be one today. It's all because of that, the SL9 case. She doesn't mean... What do you think of this? The SL9 incident? It's written on that knife. And on that note. Goodman. Goodman was the head detective on that case, you know. Really? That knife was evidence from that case, the murder weapon. It was due for transferal the very day that Goodman was killed. I'm lowering myself. As I suspected, SL9 isn't over. Not yet. Do you think you could tell us more about the SL9 incident? Say details. Where can I go? February 23rd, Police Department entrance. It's even busier here today than it was yesterday. The detectives are running around so fast they're blurring. I suppose it makes sense. A detective did get killed here after all. So the evidence room, the scene of the crime. According to the pamphlet we got at the front desk. Here it is. She's like a kid at the amusement park. Ooh, a real crime scene! Let's go take a look. I guess it would be too much to ask to go straight in. I see cowboy stuff on the left-hand side. Great. We're going to be seeing Officer Marshall. What's with the decor in this place? It's very eccentric. According to the pamphlet, this is the guard station for the evidence room. So beyond that door is the evidence room, the scene of the crime. It sure seems that way. Oh, what's wrong? It's those cacti. They're so prickly, so imposing. It's hard to think straight. Can't handle the cacti. Stay out of the desert. What I want to know is, if this is a guard station, where's the guard? I have a feeling I know who he is already. There's a security guard uniform hanging here. Looks more like a costume than a uniform, honestly. A leather jacket, leather pants, a leather... What was that called again? A punchy? A paunchy? A pinchy? Oh, I know, a poochie. It's a poncho. Wait, maybe that wasn't it. It's a poncho, but I think I'll keep that information to myself for the time being. Yipes, those sure are prickly. They must be the real deal. I would think just one big one. I would think just one big one would be sufficient. These cacti are a lot like my sister, actually. How so? Encased in a cold, rigid shell with spines pointing in every direction. Just like her. I'm not so sure I see the resemblance. It's more an attitude thing than a physical similarity. Looks like there's a video feed from the evidence room here. There's a light blinking below the monitor. It says recording. I bet we could use this computer to check out who went in and out there. This swinging door does make the place look like some kind of saloon. But look, it's nailed shut. We can't get in that way. Of course not. If you went through here, the cactus would fall over. I'd say it'd be more of a yarg myself. Look on the floor, a lasso. Looks like it's set up to trap something. A trap? Here? Wait, I know. Maybe someone was trying to catch a wild bull in here. But the lasso missed. You sure have an active imagination. The evidence room is beyond that door. Let's just walk in. It won't open. You thought it'd be open? I think we need someone's permission to go in first. I think I am done here. Yeah. Okay, back to the entrance. So we're not ready for this part yet. Criminal affairs. Wow, everyone looks deadly serious here. Well, there was a vicious murder of a detective down at the police department. Yes, but the same detective was also killed at the same time in the prosecutor's lot. It makes my head hurt. Well, first things first. Let's go check out the police department crime scene. Yes, you sound dead set on investigating. But don't mess up, or we could wind up dead. I doubt anyone wants more mysteries or dead bodies around here right now. But just like everyone's going to help. Okay. Let's head to the detention center. Looks like Miss Sky is in questioning. I hope the detectives aren't yelling at her. How did you kill him in two places at the same time? Can you imagine? How's she supposed to answer that? Wait a second. Didn't Mr. Gant say they arrested a suspect in the police department murder? Let's come back later. Let's go up to the High Prosecutor's office. Another thing to come back to. Okay, I'm already lost. Okay. Spray a few times on the ground to the left of the car. See the blood stain, the amount of blood. We get the fluid for the court record, and it can be useful in the case. We face Angel, talk to her, today's trial, Detective Star. Present the note or the switchblade. We have to go back. Present. His ID. I had one of those up until 2 years ago. Back when you were the cough-up queen, right? We found this ID card here in this parking lot. While there is no mistaking that, it's definitely Goodman's. But it's the same ID as the man who was killed at the police department. That's impossible. Wish I could be so sure. Crime scene photo. If you think about it, I could have taken that picture from the guard room. But even I get flustered sometimes. So you went straight to the scene of the crime. Rushed towards the chain link fence in an effort to stop the murder. That's when I took this photo, yes? When you're doubting, you show people things. I know that I have to get into the evidence room, but I don't know how to get to the evidence room. So I'm just following. If I get too lost, I have a thing to turn to. In other words, 5 minutes after the crime. Those 5 minutes are the whole problem. The hole in my testimony, as it were. The 5 minutes weren't the problem, Miss Star. You lying was the problem. Listen, little girl. I've had my testimony disregarded before. And I wasn't going to have it disregarded again. Just like that time. That time. Now what? Oh, now she's ready to talk. That incident really opened up the truth. My eyes to the truth were nothing to them. Disposable. Disposable to who? 2 years ago, it was the biggest case I've ever handled. The police and the prosecutors were desperate for decisive evidence. So they didn't solve it? On the contrary, it was solved quite cleanly. The criminal was caught and executed. Executed? Yes, the criminal got what was coming to him. Doesn't get any cleaner than that. The only problem was, they never did find decisive evidence. Not a shred. But the criminal was executed, right? On the basis of evidence of a sort. Made up evidence. What? You mean they executed someone with fabricated evidence? The best part came several months after the trial. Every detective involved with the case was dealt with. Some were demoted to patrolmen, others found themselves out of the job. So Mr. Cowboy is involved in this. Every one of them is involved in this. God, I love murder mysteries like this. Murder on the Orient Express. Oh my gosh. And you were one of those? Myself and one other person you know well. Wait, could it be... Exactly, Detective Jake Marshall. Oops, I mean Police Department Security Detail Officer Jake Marshall. As professional detectives, we investigated the case from every angle. Jake was particularly determined, and then it was over, and he was demoted. However, he hasn't forgotten, and neither have I. You may have forgotten SL9. Oh, you haven't forgotten SL9. There was another side of that case, a hidden side. That's what we're after now. And no one up in their fancy offices can stop us. Wait, those lunches you sell. They're the only reason I come to sell lunches in this accursed office. I come here to meet old friends, boyfriends that can help me investigate. Miss Star's old boyfriends, how many does she have anyways? Just when all the detectives on SL9 have disappeared, we find new evidence. There has to be a connection. So, rookie. What? It seems like you're serious about investigating this case. Yes. Then you should take this. A Salisbury steak lunch? I know a certain guy who might help you if you tempt him with this treat. Accent for putting Officer Marshall in a good mood. Miss Star, Officer Marshall, is he your... Are you his... Are you going out? Why do you want to know? I was just wondering what happened to him. A long time ago when he was helping my sister do cases, he was so nice. He got along so well with my sister, it made me jealous, and he was nice to me too back then. This would be when Officer Marshall was a detective, but now he's so cold. Jank and I are merely cooperating on this investigation. We're putting the past to rest, as it were. Nothing more than that. She's the killer. No, I already said they're all the killers. They're killing the people who didn't do the job right. The fabricators. I see. Thank you. Officer Jake Marshall. So once we got that... Now we go to the guard station. Please! Huh? Wasn't that? One steak lunch, please! Oh, it's you. Detective Gumshoe. Now's not the time for chit-chat, pal. I'm a busy man. What I really need is a steak lunch from Lunchland. Oh, you mean one of these? Actually, it's not for sale. I think I just heard the sound of his heart breaking. Now's not the time for despair. We've caught our criminal. Now we just need evidence. The criminal? You mean you heard about the stabbing in the police department evidence room, right, pal? On the same day that the detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot, another detective was killed at the police department? And the perpetrator, do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect, just arrested him, in fact. And the biggest scandal to hit the station in ages. Everything's topsy-turvy. But Detective Gumshoe, who was it? Listen, pal, all I know is I need me a steak lunch, pronto. Standing around here talking isn't gonna fill my belly. Wait, don't leave. If you want to know more, head on down to the detention center, pal. Questioning should be over, so I figured he's down there having a good cry. Later. He ran off to the evidence room. Well, this investigation is off to a running start. Are you kidding me? I'm going to be down too low. I know who it's gonna be. I bet I'm going to see Officer Marshall. February 23rd, Detention Center Visitor Room. Still, I do feel better about things, a little. I mean, they caught the person who stabbed Detective Goodman, didn't they? Hold on. There. Okay. Because it says that this is where my head is, but it's all the way up here. I had to fix that. Yeah, I guess they did. Best not go too far down that road right now. Things are just getting confusing. What was that? Sir, that's what I'm saying. Me? A perpetrator? I'd say I was the perpetrated against, sir. That's what I'd say. Hi. Greetings, sir. Wait, I know who you are. Excuse me, but, is Mr. Edgeworth, anywhere on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir. Officer Meekin, so you're a guard here at the detention center? No, sir. I'm not, sir. I'm a little lost patrolman, like a lost little lamb, sir. Oh, I get it. You're here to deliver a report. No, sir. How should I say this? He isn't, is he? You, Officer Meekins, you did you? Perpetrator, Officer Meekins, reporting, sir. What? What? Now, this is an unexpected turn of events. So, the police department is accusing this guy for killing Goodman in the evidence room. I'm pretty sure this guy couldn't even hurt a fly. Sir, I'm a patrolman with general affairs, sir. Sir. How? I can hear you fine, Officer Meekins. I had some business that day, sir, and so I went to the evidence room, sir. The guard station in front of the room was empty, sir. So normally there's a guard in the evidence room. That's right, sir, because evidence is kept in the evidence room, sir. Now, the security officer was none other than Officer Marshall. Marshall? Then, sir, I happened to glance at the security room monitor. That's when I saw him, sir. A suspicious person in the evidence room. A suspicious person, sir. A suspicious person. Yeah, wow. What the heck is this guy doing? So what happened then? After that, sir, everything went white. I saw red. I blacked out. And when I came to, I was here, in the detention center. How long were you out? Days? Might I ask, what happened to your hand? Sir, there was no one to bandage me, sir. So I did what I could to wrap it up, sir. Bandage on his hand. Just like Miss Sky's. Yet another similarity between this case and the one at the prosecutor's office. First things first, tell us how you hurt your hand. About your hand, did that happen during the course of the crime? Well, you see, sir, don't you think you should just confess? But sir, but there was nothing I could do. Nothing you could do. Sir, to tell the truth, sir, when it happened, when the detective pointed that knife at me, sir, I just hollered, sir. The next thing I knew, I was unconscious. The next thing you knew, you were, huh? Then when I opened my eyes, I was alone in the evidence room, sir. All alone. Alone because Detective Goodman had disappeared. What? Then, when I looked down, I was gushing blood from my hand, sir. Oh, the shock. Oh, the sorrow. Sir, Can you imagine how I felt? The victim's body disappeared? That's some story. I don't mean to pry, but you are the perpetrator, correct? You killed Detective Bruce Goodman in the evidence room, right? Sir, please don't look at me with those sad puppy dog eyes, sir. If you have to label me as perpetrator or victim, sir, then label me victim. I would, but you happen to be in detention, and alive, and well at that. Yes, well, that's true, sir. I suppose you could say that. Did you know the victim, Detective Goodman? Well, sir, if I had to label him as a stranger, or a total stranger, then I'd say he leans heavily on the total stranger side. So you didn't know him. Sir, I work in a tiny department, devoid of light or other creature comforts. I don't know any detectives. So if he was a total stranger, why did you stab him? Sir, I had no intention of killing him, sir. None. Nor do I have any recollection of killing him, sir. At least someone around here is more confused than I am. Okay. Present the ID. Do you think you could take a look at this? Hey. That's it, sir. That's it. That's it. That's what? My head was a blank until this very moment. But, sir, now I remember. I remember, sir. You mean you remember what happened? Correct. That card. That card was the cause of it all. This ID card? Exactly, sir. That's exactly it. Nothing could be more exact, sir. Nothing. I'd better pry into this a little deeper. Can you tell me what it is you remember? Well, sir, you might say I'm a little lost patrolman. A lost little lamb, if you will. I didn't know Detective Goodman, who was in the evidence room. And that's why you thought he looked suspicious. Sir, I entered the evidence room and asked the man to show me his ID. Well, that sounds pretty much by the book so far. That's right, sir. That's what I've been trying to tell you. So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card. What did he do? That's the thing. Suddenly, he pointed a knife at me. What? Sir, I assure you, I was as flustered as you are right now. So I whooped and leapt at him. Detective Goodman pointed a knife at him. Do unto others before they do unto you, my father's words, sir. What happened then? Well, my eyes, sir, everything went white. When I woke up, I was here. Right. So, Officer Meekins, why was it that they arrested you? What do you mean, Emma? Well, look what we know. Now, Officer Meekins didn't know Detective Goodman, and the victim who he met at the scene of the crime didn't show his ID card. In other words, we have no way of knowing if the victim was really the victim. And if this body just disappeared from the evidence room, we don't even know if anyone actually died. That's it, sir. That's what I wanted to say. That is, I did say something along those lines. Huh? But you still ended up here? They told me that it had to be him, sir, on that day, at that time. Detective Goodman was definitely in the evidence room. That's what they said. But you don't remember the events clearly. No, but the videotape is quite clear. Videotape? From the security camera. The crime, my crime, the crime I swore to stamp out. It's there. It's me. It's on tape. And you waited until now to tell us this? I'm sorry, really sorry, sir. I'll hand over my badge. I don't deserve it. No thanks. I have my own. Well, I guess we better go check out the crime scene. Okay, now we go to... the police department. Something's missing. I am missing something, because he should be here. We got a reaction. There's clearly blood on the spines here. This room's pretty messy. Someone must have tripped over or something and planted their head right on these spines. I think that might be more painful than being murdered. I'm still missing something. Detective Marshall should be here. That's because I'm still in the wrong room. Criminal Affairs Department. February 23rd, Police Station, Criminal Affairs Department. Hey, Mr. Wright, look who's standing at the Chief of Detectives desk. It's Police Chief Gant. You're sure this is all, You know what it means if there is anything missing. Sir, I'm sure it's most likely totally perfect. We checked all of his drawers, lockers, garbage cans, bags, coat pockets, hats, under his seat cushion, behind his computer monitor, inside his personal coffee machine. I see. Well, if anything turns up, you call me right away, deal? Yes, sir. We'll scour the place again, sir. Chief of Detectives looks a little flustered. Righto, my boy. How have you been? Swim much? Chief Gant, reporting for duty, sir. Why are you saluting him, Mr. Wright? Is Edgeworth gonna be okay? Oh, Worthy? You know, they're doing a little inquiry committee with him. Sounds like an inquisition. Yep, well, they've had no end of trouble with the boy since last year. You mean the incident on Gourd Lake? It doesn't look good having a top prosecutor sit in the defendant's seat, does it? And you got someone else found guilty in that case, right, Righto? Von Karma. A legend he was, undefeated for his 40-year career. But in court, you fixed it, so he was caught for forging evidence. Wait, I didn't do anything wrong. He did forge evidence. In any case, the prosecutor's office is in a bit of turmoil, you might say. Why, they do just about anything to restore their reputation. Now, depending on what that inquiry committee decides, it could be bad for Worthy. What? It's downright odd, I tell you. The detective getting killed on their own turf, too, I mean. They're being the prosecutors, I would assume. Scientifically speaking, it's impossible. Yes, but that's what the evidence is saying. Goodman was stabbed in 2 locations at the same time. That's what it says. What evidence is this? Now, Righto, I can't give away all our secrets just like that. And this in particular, well, it's a little sensitive. I can't talk about it. Wasn't expecting much anyways. You know, one thing I hate most of all is hiding stuff. Secrets, I can't stand them. But you know, it's a full-time job just keeping the chief of detectives trap shut. Ha, he was the one you were picking on earlier. You saw that. Whoops. I wonder what it was that he wanted the chief of detectives to do. Let's see if we can kind of discreetly ask him. Examine Chief of Detectives. Him. Sorry, yeah, to see that. What exactly did the Chief of Police want you to do? Well, see over there? That's Goodman's desk. He wanted me to check it for anything that might be a clue. They took away every last piece of garbage in the trash can. So nothing belonging to Detective Goodman is still here. Of course not. Well, except for this. What? You kept something? Sure, why not? It's not important. He didn't even finish writing it. It's a lost item report, but it's only half complete. Lost item. Did Detective Goodman lose something? The date on it is February 21st. Better make a note of that just in case. Should really get back to investigating the police department crime scene. Skip, 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 skip. Hold on. That's showing a 9. And the writing is different. Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. Well, I never thought the day would come when Righto asked me for help. I was wondering if we could investigate the evidence room. Now, Righto. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't need to investigate after all. Righto, please, do I look like a selfish man? Huh? Heck, if anyone asked me, sir, can I borrow $50? I'd give them $50, no problem. Can I have $1 million? I need the money. You don't need to know why. So go ahead, investigate that room to your heart's content. Knock yourself out. Just goes to show you never know until you ask. And for you here, you can borrow this. Hey, this is a detective's ID card, isn't it? That's a special card for guests. Don't lose it. Yes, sir. It's an honor. You just run along now. Later, folks. It looks pretty cool on my lapel, doesn't it? Just think, a real ID. You seem happy. Yes, sir. Because, sir, we get to go to the evidence room now. I think this place is a bad influence on a girl. Okay. Now, let's finally go to the guard station. The evidence room is beyond that door. And we have the ID from Chief Gant. Let's just walk in. It won't open. The card reader's turned off, see? What is that security guard thinking? Howdy, partners. Well, well, what made my bambina's sky go gray? Officer Marshall! Why does it have to be him? That's what. What's that? Why does it have to be him look for? As you may have surmised, this here's my saloon. We're here to investigate the crime scene. Yeehaw! That card you got there on your chest. That's better than a sheriff's badge in these parts. Yeehaw! Well, what are you standing there for? Get along, little doggies. Crime scene's awaiting. While we're here, I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions. Sorry, cowboy, but I got no mind to tangle with you hombres. You're busy then? Did I say that? I only said I didn't wish to speak with you. Actually, you said you had no mind to tangle with us hombres. So this is why Angel gave us this. That smell. Reminds me of Texas. So, Officer Marshall, you're from Texas? No, I just saw a special on television the other day. Is this from my baby? Yeah, Miss Star. What's this? What? What's wrong? A filet steak lunch? I see. I see. I don't see. I wonder what it means. Alright, Bambina. You win. Ask him anything. Smack. Finally, it seems like he's willing to talk. Officer Marshall, you're in charge of security for the evidence room, right? You got good eyes, partner. It was easy. It's an easy job. I'm grateful for it. Actually, Officer Meekins at the detention center told us. That poor little doggy. Poor guy. I keep getting his name wrong and calling him Meekly. He told us something. He said when the stabbing occurred, you weren't at your station. Maybe I shouldn't be telling you this. But since I got demoted from detective 2 years ago, well, it might not look it, but I lost my fire for the job, you know? So, what were you doing around 5:15 when the murder took place? Well, I reckon I was galloping down the highway on the back of my steed Zippy. Note, he was riding down the highway on his horse named Zippy. There's no need for people here anyhow. These newfangled machines do a bang-up job keeping an eye on the place. You mean the security camera system? I don't take to machines much. Kinda like that stewed broccoli they sneak in next to your steak, you know? That's probably why he's upset. Miss Starr told us something. She said that you were a detective until 2 years ago. It was always my dream to be a rawhide wrangler on the scene of a crime. That's all gone now, like a drinking hole in the prairie fire. You're still investigating the SL9 incident with Miss Starr, aren't you? That was my case. It's all solved on the record books, but it smells like a bad game of poker. I can't let it go. That's all there is to it. What kind of case was it anyway? We've heard the name many times, but no one tells us what actually happened. There's some things you're better off not knowing, Bambina. Anyways, in case that case is officially dead as of 2 years ago. 2 days ago, the day of our case. That's right. The evidence transferals. Edgeworth was talking about the transferals too. I know what maybe 2 of the machines in here do. Only 2 of them? There must be a dozen. Like I said, Bambina, me and machines, well, I like them about as much as I like stewed cauliflower with my steak. The easiest one to understand are these here security cameras. Those are the ones that Officer Meekins... If nothing happens, the tapes are automatically erased every few hours. And Officer Meekins and Detective Goodman, are they on one of those tapes? I reckon they might be. You're the security guard, and you reckon? One more thing. When you go into the evidence room, you need an ID card. That's the card reader by the door. The card reader leaves a record of every ID card that passes through. So this is the ID card record. Hey, I've seen that somewhere before. Sorry, Bambina, I can't show you more than that. Huh? I haven't heard whether this is related to the case yet. Mr. Wright, I saw a number on the record just now. I've seen that number before. Maybe there's some way I can prove the record is tied to the stabbing. Sorry, but could you explain what the whole transferal thing is about? We keep only evidence from solved cases in this room. They're kept here under the president's presiding detective's supervision for 2 years. So we can reinvestigate them if it turns out there was a mistake, see? So what happens to the evidence after 2 years? It goes to sleep forever in the underground vault at the county sheriff's department. That's what we call transferal. We do it every February. I see now. Transferal is like a funeral for old cases. 2 years after a case is solved, it's closed forever. Dead. Never to be reopened again. Never to be reinvestigated. And that happened to SL9 2 days ago. Okay, so let's present the card for the ID. See this? This is the victim's ID card. Ah, the one on the ground in the parking lot? The number on this is 5842189. Officer Marshall, show us that ID card report again. Look, the 4th number. It's a perfect match. It was used at 5:14, right before the stabbing. What's more, there's only one of them cards in the world. So when the incident occurred, Detective Goodman was in the evidence room. But wait, why did Officer Meekins say... Sir, I entered the evidence room and asked the man to display his ID card. So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card. What did he do? That's the thing. Suddenly he pointed a knife at me. If he had his ID card, then why would he have pointed a knife at Officer Meekins? Alright, compadre, you win. I guess I can give you this ID card record. I've got an idea. Maybe I should show this list to other people with IDs here. Okay, evidence room. February 23rd, evidence room, Sector 3. It's quiet. The investigation must be over here. So this is the evidence room. It's really kind of like a graveyard. Graveyards are supposed to have grass and trees. This feels more like a morgue. Nice try, Mr. Wright. You can't scare me. Ah! Oh! Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I wouldn't recommend going around smacking ghosts on the head, pal. So is it true what I heard? Yeah, it's true. So Chief of Police Gant will loan anyone 50 bucks? Even me? Oh, so that's what you were talking about? Actually, I was put in charge of the investigation for today. Just for today? Boss for a day. But guess what? You got permission from the chief, so now you're boss for a day. Gee, thanks. First of all, you'll want to have this. Scene of the stabbing of a detective in the police department. First, let's look at that map. Okay. Now let's get a... Allow me to say... Oh, no, that's not what I want. Okay. Here we go. Spray everything! So far saying nothing here. Slide. Oh. That must have been one massive pool of blood. Never seen anything like it. I'm not a professional. What's your opinion, detective? Pale blue blood? Maybe Detective Goodman was actually an alien. This proves that something really happened in front of this locker. I'll make a note of it on our floor plans. Hey, if you didn't want my opinion, you shouldn't have asked. Is there anything else covered with blood? Oh, the handprint. I knew it. This is someone's right hand. What? What's the matter, detective? This locker. It's mine. It's yours? Please. You have to help me when they come to take me away. Promise you'll testify that I didn't harm a fly. You'll do that for me, won't you, pals? This is an important clue. I'll jot it on the floor plans. I'm counting on you guys. Believe me. You can't trust the police. What? But you're a detective. Okay, now let's go to talk. So, Detective Gumshoe, your boss for the day? That's right. It's an honor. After all, the murder took place right here in the police department. But if you're boss, why are you all alone? Where are your underlings? They're using yesterday's findings to prepare tomorrow's trial. In other words, you got kicked out of the investigation again. I'm adamant, though. I'm going to take control and put this case to rest. In my own evidence locker, pal. You have a locker in here too, Detective Gumshoe? Of course, I'm a detective after all. They gave me a locker that only I can open, pal. Only you can open? I'll always believe in Mr. Edgeworth, no matter what happens. So, Mr. Edgeworth is with the inquiry committee now, right? They're trying to figure out who's responsible for the mess-up in court today. I see. I guess this is what you call fate? Mr. Edgeworth just can't get away from that case. That case? Yeah, that case. The SL9 incident, of course. That was the beginning of the end for Mr. Edgeworth. Maybe we can get him to tell us more about the case. This place is more high-tech than you might think. Every locker is fixed so that only one detective can open it, using their ID card. Well, that's the thing, pal. ID cards can be lost. Why, I'm on my third card since entering the force already. That sounds like a lot. Yeah, but even I can't lose my own right hand. Right hand? Oh, you mean your fingerprint. Exactly, pal. The lock for each locker is coded with a fingerprint. So the only locker we can open is our own. Funny, they look like normal lockers. These are the latest models. There's a trick to the handles, see? The handles. On the other side of the handles is a sensor, and if the wrong person touches it, bzzap, you get a shock. If that's what happened, my right hand would be black and smoking every day. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force who don't know about fingerprint locks. Look, this one's open, and the red indicator light above the door is lit. That locker is coded with Detective Goodman's fingerprint. Detective Goodman's locker. Are you sure it's okay to leave it open like that? Well, it'd be hard to get it open again if we closed it. It's empty. They must have taken the contents elsewhere. Wow, someone must have broken something big to make all these pieces. Detective Gumshoe, perhaps. There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of hooligan. That's apparently from the case. The case? The SL9 incident, pal. See the stickers on the pieces? Another piece of SL9 incident. I wonder what shape these pieces were before whatever it was broke. You want to try putting them back together? Good luck, pal. That's no job for amateurs. Why, I spent a good 3 hours on that before I had to give up. That's why I always carry a tube of glue. Well, the piece looks like the bottom. Let's try putting the rest into place. That's clearly the top. .3D puzzles like this are interesting. That's clearly a top piece too. Oh. That piece did not look like it should fit. Oh. I do gotta say this 3D puzzle does not piece together nicely. Now we're getting somewhere. That's clearly this one. This piece. And this piece. Hold on, there's a piece missing. Huh? Well, I think we did it, but some of the pieces are missing. Yeah, I got that far too in 2 minutes myself. The problem is finishing it. Were some pieces stolen? I bet they were missing to begin with. Still, it doesn't look like some kind of... Unless it's upside down. It doesn't look like the most stable kind of jar. I kind of understand how it got broken. What if it is upside down? A jar pieced back together from fragments found in the crime scene. A piece is missing. I'm kind of stumped on where to go again. Get the floor plan. The evidence locker will be added. Okay. Present. The switchblade. Detective Goodman's note and that switchblade knife. I bet Edgeworth was the most surprised of anyone because of the SL9 connection. That was Mr. Edgeworth's first big case, you know, 2 years ago. That was the first time the world knew Edgeworth was a man to be feared. But why would evidence from that case turn up now? I guess it's not over, pal. Maybe there are some loose ends left in that case? And then we get this. Now that was a bloody, violent case. Violent, so it was a murder. A serial killing. A serial killing? Maybe I don't want to get involved in this after all. But the killer made a mistake, and Mr. Edgeworth built his case around that to nab him. And this was 2 years ago? That put Mr. Edgeworth right in the spotlight and started the rumor mill. Rumors about forged evidence. It was supposed to be all cleaned up with the transferal the other day. It was the last job he ever did. Detective Goodman, that is. What do you mean? Detective Goodman was the detective in charge of the SL9 incident, see? So that switchblade knife. The victim took the knife out of the evidence locker himself. Card records. Could you take a look at this? This is the ID card record of people who came in here on the day of the stabbing. I heard the rumors. So it was Goodman who came in here at the time. Whoa! What is it? That second number. It's not your ID number, is it, Detective Gumshoe? Mr. Edgeworth! What? The second number on this list belongs to Mr. Edgeworth. What? Why would Edgeworth have come to the evidence room? I was not expecting that. Someone left a glove here, but only one. Detective Gumshoe, maybe? There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of absent-minded detective. That's evidence from the case, you know. You mean SL9? It does have a tag on it. Rubber glove added to the court record. To take out the choose spray on, you automatically use the red glasses. Pan left, start spraying upper left locker with a piece of cloth sticking out. A partial handprint. I thought I went crazy over here on the left-hand side. Why am I getting a reaction here? There's no reason for the murderer to touch this spot if he fled the door. This just might be significant. Hey, that's some pretty amazing stuff you got there, pal. What, this? It's called luminol test fluid. Where'd you get your hands on that? Huh? I'd like to get some too. I'll just borrow $50 from the chief. Where do you get this, Emma? I always buy it by mail order. Well, I'd better jot this down on the floor plan. Hey pal, look at the time. Was there something you needed to be going to? It's just that Mr. Edgeworth's inquiry committee should be letting out soon. I'm going to go give them my report for the day. It might help, you know. Report? You mean the note written on the back of that flyer? The one that says nothing but no problems? Hey, it's Mr. Edgeworth we're talking about. I'm sure he can use a report like this. I believe in him. Who needs enemies when you've got friends like Detective Gumshoe? I'm off, pal. Later. I should probably see what Edgeworth has to say, too. Okay, we are done here. We're gonna move to here. High Prosecutor's Office room. Ah, guests! My apologies. Oh, it's you. Have we met somewhere? Mr. Edgeworth, I beg your leave. So long. Is Edgeworth here? There, standing by the window, a teacup in his hand. Right. Does the hotel bring him tea service? Mr. Edgeworth, you're back from the district prosecutor's office inquiry? I am. By the way, Detective Gumshoe was looking for you. Ah, yes, he brought me the latest information, it seems. Really? Was it helpful? Apparently a new French restaurant is opening near here. I think he was trying to console me somehow. The real information is on the other side, Edgeworth. Poor Mr. Edgeworth, I think this whole thing is really starting to take a toll on him. So how did the inquiry committee go? Actually, they decided to treat this not as a case of concealing evidence, but as a communications error due during the investigation. Concealing evidence? Yes, apparently there are some who believe that I concealed evidence. They gave me a warning. You were lucky this time. Again. Again. I've heard them say that so many times, ever since that case 2 years ago. Are you okay with the trial tomorrow? Well, I'm still the presiding prosecuting attorney. However, something happened? They gave control of the investigation over to the police department. The police department? Yes, any further investigation for this case will be directed by the chief of police, Gant. I can do nothing but wait for his results. I see. Why, I ask you, why? All along, I've done only what I believe is right. I have nothing to be ashamed of, but still. Wow, I've never seen him out of sorts. Okay. I'm clearly supposed to be showing him stuff. ID card record. Oh, right. I better check this now. As I was saying, What's this? A record of ID card usage? Edgeworth, you went into the evidence room that day, didn't you? Just before the incident occurred, no less. Yes, that's true. Why, Mr. Edgeworth? Please don't look at me like that. I was asked to go by Chief Gant, no less. The Chief of Police. He wanted evidence for a case that wrapped up half a year ago. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. But it was solved, right? It would have to be if the evidence was already filed. The chief is never one to explain himself. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. Can I ask you what kind of case it was? I can't say. It really has nothing to do with the current case. Now I'm curious about the other case. I better make note of it. Evidence of a past case of Edgeworth's brought back to his office by Gant's request. Stubborn as always, I told you this had nothing to do with the current case. I know you. You've probably got a hold on some information already, right? It all has to do with that case you were on, the SL9 incident, and some dark suspicion you were wrapped up in. You are a man who revived the worst memory of my life. I figured I'd be telling you about this sooner or later. You must be talking about his father's murder in the elevator. Okay, Edgeworth, why don't you tell me about it? Tell me the truth. Allegations of forgery. The SL9 incident was a heinous serial killing case. The head of the investigation was the deputy chief of police at the time, Damon Gant. That wacky old coot was involved in the case 2 years ago too then? He was a top officer, and it was my first time working with him. I was nervous. Wow, you get nervous too, Mr. Edgeworth? What I want to know is, why was the deputy chief of police on the investigation? In truth, I used slightly more extreme methods than normal. We were dealing with a vicious murderer. If I let him go, the blood would be on my hands. We won our guilty verdict, and the killer was executed. Wait, you didn't? Of course not. I didn't touch the evidence. Yes, I will do anything in my power to win a trial. However, I do have a code, and I follow it faithfully. By the way, Emma, the chief prosecutor wanted to know something. My sister? What? If you were still studying forensic science. Huh? Yes, of course. Why, just today, Mr. Wright and I were using this. Luminol testing fluid, Well then, you might have use for this. Aluminum powder for taking fingerprints. It's been chemically treated for better adhesion. For me? Are you sure? We are the enemy, you know. I have no say in today's investigation. Do as you will. Edgeworth, I'm really... No need to thank me. Here, take your powder and those fingerprint files for everyone involved. Thanks. How about giving these to Detective Gumshoe as well? Fingerprint set and detective and fingerprint file. Well, let's get going. Our last investigation. Right, I don't seem to remember seeing a suspicious handprint anywhere. Hold on. Wants me to go back to that odd hand we saw. So I need to go to the police department. Guard station. Evidence room. Okay. Our investigation turned up a suspicious handprint. Here, in this blood on the detective's evidence locker. Let's use the secret weapon we just borrowed. Right, let's get started. First, choose a finger. A finger? Each finger leaves behind a slightly different imprint. So let's choose the finger that will have left behind the clearest print. I really can't tell the difference at a glance. Quit procrastinating and choose a finger. I think it's going to be the finger because the thumb is going to be sideways, so it won't give us a clear piece. Okay, now it's time to check the prints. Let me show you how it's done. Emma's starting to get that sparkle in her eyes. First, we sprinkle the aluminum powder around. How'd you do that? With the A button, see? Ah, looks like that did the trick. The aluminum powder adheres completely to the print. Once the powder is well spread, just blow away the excess. How do I do that? With the X button. Exciting, I know. Imagine you're blowing out the candles on a birthday cake. See? Wow, that looks like fun. I might take some getting used to it, though. It's fine. It won't go up your nose or anything. You just pour the powder on thick and blow away the extra. Those are the basics of fingerprinting, Mr. Wright. Guess I'd better give it a try. Since I have nothing to lose, let's just place it everywhere. You know, all I need is a card now and a straw. You did it! You found one! But this looks nothing like a fingerprint. Now that you mention it, I guess it doesn't. What does it mean? I think it means we're out of luck. Out of luck? The person who left this handprint must have worn gloves. Don't tell me we've been wasting our time here. Hey, calm down. It's just the way it goes sometimes with scientific investigations. But it does seem a shame. While we're at it, why don't we look for other prints? Other prints? Look at the locker door closely again. Seems like there are fingerprints outside the bloody handprint as well. See if we can't get a clear print. I see it right here. Blood and mash! Just gonna spread it around everywhere. Okay, now where's that card? And straw. That was a bad joke, I'm sorry. Yay, a print so clear it's dazzling. Dazzling. Anyway, this print took a lot of effort to find. Let's match it up right away. So we're not done yet. This is quite a process. Well, there's no point in finding a fingerprint and not knowing who the owner is, right? Guess she's right. Look at the fingerprint data we got from Mr. Edgeworth. Point at the person you think left these prints. How am I supposed to know who it was? You can make a pretty good guess. The bloody handprint and the fingerprint are in different places, right? That means the prints probably don't have anything to do with our case. So whose fingerprint would most likely find on this evidence locker? Oh, Gumshoe. Aha! So these prints belong to Detective Gumshoe. Something wrong, Mr. Wright? You gave me this so what look. I guess that's probably because I was thinking, so what? Okay, so we came up with nothing this time, but there's always next time. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. You gotta roll with the punches, Mr. Wright. Thanks for the sympathy. Wait, if I remember correctly, there was one other handprint in this room. Let's check it out. Indeed, it was on this locker. This is where we got a luminol fluid reaction, right? Right, there was a handprint here. Alright, want to try using this. There go her eye sparkles. Let's check for prints. We're checking for prints. That's the spirit. Oh, but I have to warn you about something first. The area with the blood was wiped away, right? We only ended up finding it using chemical means. Any prints in the area will have been wiped away too. Oh, right. So that means no prints. Would you say the probability of your hypothesis is high? Don't ask me. Anyway, we must try to find prints that weren't wiped away. Prints other than the ones left by the bloody hand. Oh. Bun mash, bun mash, bun mash. We're gonna have a snowball party. This is an unexpected shape for a fingerprint. Okay. It could be Damon Grant's. It can't be Meek's. Oh, it is a perfect match. Hey, these fingerprints, whose are they? Whose? Is it someone I know? It's Officer Marshall. Officer Jake Marshall? Marshall's fingerprints added to the court record. That's gotta be a coincidence. He's not involved in the crime. Emma. This is decidedly different from Detective Gumshoe's prints. The luminol reaction, the blood, and the fingerprints are all in the same place. Oh. So we have Jake Marshall's fingerprints on a wiped blood stain. But why would Officer Marshall? It looks like our investigation is finally turning up some results. I guess this is what you could call decisive evidence? I don't believe it. We're gonna call this an episode. I'm super surprised. My hypothesis of this case is that everyone involved in the SL9 incident the police officer deputy, who is now chief of police, Damon Gant, the chief prosecutor, Lana Sky, Marshall, and Angel are all involved in the murder cases. I mean, that's my hypothesis. That's what this case is making me lead to believe. Because they didn't have proper evidence, so now they're trying to get rid of the evidence. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's stream of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. We covered quite a bit of ground, much longer than I anticipated, just because I was curious and wanted to get to the next day. It's really fun. It is an enjoyable game, and so far it's just one turn and plot twist to the next. It's so incredible. I really enjoy this game. Tomorrow we're going to be continuing with Mario Party. We're going to be going on to Spaceland, and hopefully I'll be able to do some Discord stuff. Each case is always longer. Oh no, does that mean that the next one from Justice for All is going to be even longer than what I'm dealing with now? Ugh, gross. What am I up to? Mario Party. Tomorrow we're doing Mario Party. Hopefully I'll have some new online people to play with. We're not quite doing true online, though I'll probably be able to discuss it, or maybe we'll just skip it completely. You can play online. It plays differently than playing with friends. So yeah, that's going to be tomorrow. I believe I did not get last stream's episode out, so this week I will include it and today's stream into the episode. I also have to deal with my Adobe Premiere Pro. It said that all my fonts are deleted and I don't understand why. So I have to investigate that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Ronald, for tuning in at the start. Thank you, Red Stripe Morgs, for tuning in. And I actually got a follow 2 days ago. Thank you, She Heartful, for the follow 2 days ago. Every follow counts, and your follow is now part of the collective. We will see you guys all next week, tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Bye.